guys, how you doing? I'm DrNoobSauce, and today I'm going to be talking about a little hose, the Aviator hose. Now I really like this hose. I love the length of it, I love the feel of it. So let's get in depth and talk a little bit more about this lovely hose. If you're not familiar with Art Hookah actually started out with a lounge in San Diego, California. Then they made this all glass hookah, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with. It's called the Temple 45. If you're not familiar with it, go Google it. It's a pretty nice looking hookah, especially when it comes to glass hookahs. Even though glass hookahs aren't my forte, and I end up breaking a lot of the pieces, especially the hoses and the hose ports, I end up chipping them. Not something I like to do, especially when you're spending 300 and something bucks, but go check it out. If you like, you know, glass hookahs, might be for you. The Art Aviator hose comes in about 3 different colors: red, black, and blue. And you can get them on Fumari's website, where I got this lovely bad boy. They have them in stock, or they should still have them in stock. If you're a frequent user of Fumari's website and you buy a lot of stuff, you know that you're going to have a bunch of those points lying around. So what better way to use the points than to buy some flavors, or better yet, the hose. Now you're going to notice this thing in my hand right here is super long. Now it has a couple features that I do want to point out to you. This thing is about 84 inches long, so you can drop this thing. Look at this. You got hose for days. Hose for days. Yeah, bad choice of words. Another super cool function, or you know, attribute of the hose, is that it has a really nice soft touch, which is more commonly known as soft silicone. Now if you have a D hose, which is another silicone hose, you're gonna notice that it's more rougher. It's like, you know, more sturdy, I guess more of a heavy duty hose, if you can put it in that sense. This kind of bends a little bit, which is kind of a drawback, but the upside of having a soft silicone hose compared to a regular silicone hose like the D hose is that say you have this on a couch or on a table, it's gonna slide right off because it's very smooth. Unlike the D hose that could get caught a little bit if you smoke on a couch. It can get caught on the carpet or the rug because it has more of a rougher material, so it will drag a little bit. But if it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter. But soft silicone is pretty cool. I like touching it. It's a nice little attribute of the hose. Now, what is this hose made out of? Well, let me show you all the pieces that it actually comes with. Now, it's gonna come like this. Bam, that's all you're getting. Oh, can I show you that? Boom. You're gonna have the hose, you're gonna have the 2 end pieces, you're gonna have the actual handle, or the mouth tip of the hose. Then you're gonna have this little liquid thing. And you're probably wondering what the little liquid thing is. I had no clue. I thought it was some kind of packaging mechanic, but I read on the internet, it is not. It is actually a cooling device. So you throw this little bad boy in your freezer, right? Let it freeze. Then, when it's nice and frozen, you're gonna take the mouthpiece portion and you're gonna throw it in. Boom, right? And then you're gonna screw it on as you would. And now you have a cooling hose, which is pretty cool. If you're smoking a flavor that maybe some of your friends might find too harsh, or you know, too heavy on the throat, throw this bad boy in there, and now it's smokable for your friends. Basically, the breakdown of what the hose comes with. But what is the hose, or the metal piece, actually made out of? Well, I'll let you know. The exact material name is 6061 T6. Yeah, you know what it is. You're smart people. But for me, who had to look it up, it's actually made out of like airplane grade aluminum, which is the kind of the generic name for that long digits. It was basically developed back in 1935. The metal, not the hose. It's basically made out of magnesium and silicone, which is its major components, or alloying material. Now, talk about the ease of access. This thing is very easy to clean. If this gets dirty, you just wipe it off with like a rag or something. On the inside, you can just run water through it. I put a little bit of soap and then rush water through. Since it does come apart, I have like a little brush that I'm able to get in there, because you have a lot of grooves and stuff, so you kind of want to make sure there's no excess flavor. When it comes to ghosting, it's almost a non-existent thing anymore, because you're able to wash this thing so easy. And even if you smoke a head after another head, you're not really going to taste that pre-existing material unless you're smoking something like Pon or like a double apple. You might taste a little bit to be, you know, realistic with you guys, but I think you guys already know that those flavors tend to leave a little bit more of a ghosting trail than others. Now, I talked about the metal. Let's talk about the soft silicone. Now, I have it's a dark black, like matte based silicone. It's actually made of a neoprene texture, which basically is a fancy word for synthetic rubber. Now, it comes with a nice anti-kinking device, which is pretty good because sometimes when you have this on certain hookahs, where the port could be, it could easily bend, and after like using it for a little bit, you will notice a little kinking. But if you have this spring on it, it's not going to be an issue. So the spring is a lifesaver when it comes to this hose because you are using the soft silicone. Now, here to show you more in depth about the anti-kinking spring, you can see it in action how it basically holds the hose up for the most part. It does a pretty good job. The only issue is that you got to make sure you put the spring on before you connect it to the port, or you're going to have a tough time trying to get that spring around the actual port here. So you see it like kinking here, but it's trying to fight it. It's doing a pretty good job, but that was my fault when I put this together. I didn't do it properly. I'm sure you'll have better. Now, if I did have the cooling port or the cooling chamber, I would throw it in now before you actually attach it, and then you just gotta basically screw this bad boy on. It does take a little bit of work to screw this thing on, as you can see. I feel like I'm really putting together like an IKEA chair. But there you go. When you put it together, it does look like one piece. It's very, very light. The hose is very light. You feel like you don't really have even a hose in your hand when you're using it. That is a definite plus. Now, my final thoughts. Now, I got this hose for 20 bucks after using a bunch of my points. So I thought it was a real good steal. But it compares to other hoses, such as the D hose, which clocks in at about 40 bucks. Now, the Art Hookah is going to be about $55, but you're paying for the length, you're paying for the texture, the longevity of the hose, the accessibility to make it a regular hose or make it a chilling hose. It's also very easy to clean. But it is still cheaper than your average timber hose, which will clock in at $75. So basically it goes timber hose, timber hose, Art Hookah hose, and then D hose. The D hose is a hose I use more frequently than this. This is actually a present for my girlfriend, but I ended up confiscating it and using it myself. Now, you know, all these hoses have great draws. Personally, I will end up staying with my D hose for the price point. Even though it is a heavier hose, this is very light because it is made out of aluminum. It has a great feel, great texture. It's fun to use. The length is really something that the price point is going to drive home. Like, because it is 54 bucks, you're paying for, I guess, the anti-kink, which it needs it. You're not really going to be able to use this hose on certain hookahs unless it's more like a tabletop hookah and has less gravity pull on it. But you know, you're paying for the cooling device, you're paying for the length. So I mean, all in all, is it a buy? If your price point is average, usually around 55 bucks for paying for hoses, then this is something you probably should have, because I'm sure you already have the D hose. But if you're trying to save a little bit of money and you're thinking Art Aviator hose or D hose, I would say stick with the D hose. The draw is going to be the same, and you're going to save a little bit of that precious moolah for a hookah that might be coming out. Just be educated before you just jump on a bandwagon. But it is pretty cool. I like it. Very light. Especially since I have a hand injury. It is very light light to handle, and it's very easy to smoke out of. So like always, happy smoking, and I look forward to seeing you at the Chicago meetup. Come hang out.